Hello there gang, and welcome to another episode of Displaying Model Behaviour. So take off your pants, crack a beer, and get ready to talk toys, because we are going to cover what symbiotic monsters could be in the next Venom wave, with the Venom 2 trailer hitting. Let there be carnage. Make of that what you will, but it does mean that hopefully we're going to be seeing some more Venom figures on the shelves, and there are so many amazing Venomized characters and people who have come in and out of the comics over the years that there is an almost limitless amount of characters that we can pull from to make an amazing wave. Now this video is kind of a collaboration going on. There is an incredible customizer out there in the customizing wilds called Symbiote Seeker. He has an incredible Instagram where he showcases all of his work and a YouTube channel as well. And I'm going to take some media from both of those and incorporate them into this video. So guys, if you like what you see, and I know you will, go and check out Symbiote Seeker on Instagram and YouTube. And he didn't ask me to do this. I'm just fanboying out. This is just, I saw his absolute carnage and I was like, oh my god, it's so pretty. And then I just saw the rest of his work and I was like, well, thanks for ruining Legends for me. Because now it all pales in comparison to what this dude puts out. So tip of the hat and can of Coke to Symbiote Seeker. But enough with the pre-ramble, let's look at some potential Marvel Legends. You wonder where the beef is? Here's the beef with King Carnage. Who? What? Huh? Yeah, I'm going right off the beaten path to start with. This is a character who is only originally existing in trading card form. Fleer Spider-Man 95, I think, had a bunch of cards which were different mashups of characters, and one of them was King Carnage. And it just looked so cool and terrifying. Like, Carnage is terrifying enough, but then wrapped around the gigantic body of the Kingpin, that looked so monstrous. And God bless you, Symbiote Seeker, you absolutely nailed it, taking the Kingpin deluxe figure, wrapping up a Carnage symbiote around it, absolutely perfectly recapturing and recreating what was on that original trading card. Can of Coke, tip of the hat, and take off your pants because you did a fantastic job on King Carnage. Now, a real obvious one from the current comic books is God Venom, or Ascended Venom, or whatever you want to call him, the Venom we had at the end of the most recent King in Black storyline, where Venom takes on the powers, Eddie Brock takes on the powers of Captain Universe. It's kind of revealed at the end of the story that Captain Universe is technically a symbiote. Is it Omega Power? Either way, it's the opposite of Knull. Knull is the king of darkness, and the Omega Power is the sort of god of light. So it actually bonds with someone like a symbiote, and it bonded with Eddie Brock, giving him these incredible kind of cosmic powers. Then he took the board of the Silver Surfer and sort of molded it into a sword, and just looked so cool. And then if you want to throw a little extra on there as well, in that story arc he's also sporting some huge big symbiotic wings as well. So throw all those together into a deluxe Marvel box set, Marvel Legends box set. Whew, yeah, that would be a cosmically powered action figure right there. Keeping on the Knull storyline, we have the Nullified Venom. That's kind of what I would call this design. I don't know what exactly an official name for it is, if Marvel ever gave it an official name, but I would call it the badass Venomized design, because it's what's meant to be like the primordial look of what the symbiotes should look like before any other psychic influences, mental influences have exerted themselves over the symbiote. This is what it naturally looks like, with the cool spiral design there, and the Knull symbol looks all organic, like it's growing out of veins and cartilage. It looks so grim and visceral, but so awesome. Virus is a super fun one, which was actually kind of a mystery character for a while. It was who is in the Virus armor, and I love how it's clearly a complete mismatch of some War Machine armor, a Goblin glider. Basically someone went to like a superhero scrap heap or a supervillain scrapyard and just picked whatever they could do and salvaged whatever they could, and it's all stuck together with duct tape, and it looks manky, like, you know, this thing is just dripping spewing oil and rust, and it's a cool design. And what it turns out, the person inside of it is Mac Gargan, the Scorpion, who has a long history with the Venom symbiote already. And what happened in Absolute Carnage was Carnage essentially ripped part of his spine out, enough so that it didn't kill him, but he was rendered unable to walk. So he got the armor to give him the ability to use his legs. His legs were later fixed by a symbiote, but still, this is Mac Gargan seeking revenge in a cobbled together mismatch of armor and weapons. It's really cool. Now, since originally it was a Venom 2 trailer that spawned this idea in my head to make this video, we got to go to one of the characters from the movies, and that is of course Anne Weying, the ex-wife of Eddie Brock, who in the comics, and actually in the movie of course as well, has been bonded to the Venom symbiote. And I would love to see the Anne Weying from the Venom Sinner Takes All storyline, where she bonds with the symbiote for the first time. I think she suffers a gunshot wound and Eddie gives the symbiote to heal her up, and the she-Venom is everything that is excessive about 90s comic book artwork. Huge big teeth, slobbering jaws, massive gazumbos, and a teeny tiny waist and gigantic claws, and it's so excessive. It's so over the top, but so cool, and I would love to see that in action figure form. Digging into the Flash Thompson side of things, I'd love to see Andi Benton. Now, this is different ways of covering this character because she has been a host of a regular symbiote. I don't know where she got it from. It was like an offshoot of Venom. Her symbiote costume looked basically like Venom, but kind of zhuzhed up a little bit. She was like Zhuzh Michael, just making it look a bit more trendy. But then she gets kind of infected with hellfire type powers. Again, my memory of this is spotty. I read so many comics that I can't remember. They all kind of get blurred into one. But she gets demonic hellfire, basically. That's what I'm trying to say before beating around the bush. And eventually, she gets the Scream symbiote. So the classic yellow Scream symbiote with the big hair and the tendrils. I would love another go-over of that symbiote because I think they didn't really do her justice in Legends form. However, if we go back in time a little bit and give her the original Flash Thompson, Andi Benton kind of Venom sort of design, yeah, I'd be down with that. Now, what can I say but absolute carnage. We have got to get this in a Bath Build-A-Figure type, big, huge, spindly, terrifying, freakish looking character. Of course, it's going to be tough because the proportions don't lend themselves to being made into an action figure. Very top heavy, very thin joints, but you know what? There's someone who has made it and it looked damn impressive. Boom! Another shout out to Symbiote Seeker, the first figure of his that I saw. Absolute carnage, looking absolutely incredible. I think originally made under all that plastic and putty and what's been chipped away was originally a Warlock Bath, I think. But the actual absolute carnage that he made just looked jaw-droppingly amazing. So if Hasbro could even get close to making something like this, oh my goodness, I'd be all over it. Now let's get a little bit 90s now, because that's my wheelhouse is the 90s, and let's get more jury members, or actually any jury members, because we've got the Vault Guardsman with the new Ursa Major Wave, which I cannot wait to get my grubby little hands on. We've got the Vault Guardsman, but oh me mia, there is a group of characters called the Jury, and the Jury are former Vault Guardsmen who have an axe to grind, basically. So all of their gear is enhanced jury armor. So they've got the basic jury build and then extra accoutrements put on top. And they have a whole long history with Venom and the symbiotes, putting Venom on trial for his crimes and this and that. The Jury are really cool, a big staple of the 90s, and I would love to see them in Marvel Legends form. Keeping it with the 90s, we're keeping in the 90s wave. Two that kind of go together. I'll put them in a little together type entry here. Why am I doing this? Shriek and Carrion. I know I'm not going to dwell on this for too long because I'm always banging on about these guys, but I want to complete my Maximum Carnage set, and to do that we need Shriek and we need Carrion. And considering that Shriek is actually in Venom 2, I think it's a real good chance we're hopefully going to get her with the next wave, or possibly a movie version as well, which would be kind of disappointing for me. It'd be a bit of a double-edged sword because I don't collect MCU, but at the same time, it'd be great to see her and Carrion finally represented on our shelves. Returning to the Flash Thompson Venom arc, we have Symbiote Hunter Eddie Brock, and this is an interesting one. Eddie has gone through all sorts of different phases and stages in his career, in his life, being bonded with symbiotes, hating symbiotes, all points in between, and this was the Symbiote Hunter phase where he dedicated his life to trying to eradicate the world of symbiotes. So it's basically Brock all commandoed up. Actually, yeah, his gear is full on Schwarzenegger from Commando with just straps of grenades and bullets and rocket launchers and all kinds of stuff. And you can actually do a really good kit bash of this figure with the nuke, Buck, and then the Eddie Brock head from the first Venom wave. That actually works great for a Symbiote Hunter Eddie Brock, but I'd love to see an official version of that character. Speaking of Flash Thompson Venom, little segue there, he had a whole rogues gallery of his own, which were previously existing characters, but really heavily incorporated into his story, one of whom was Crime Master. And I love my sort of campy Dick Tracy gangster type villains, and Crime Master is exactly that, so I would love to see him represented. And then there was also a Fly type character as well. I can't remember his name, but he was grim and gruesome. I mean, any kind of, the Fly Cronenberg type character is going to be gnarly, and I remember him looking quite good and very toyetic, so whatever that guy's name is, I would like him. But mostly Crime Master. Hasbro, make it happen. I've said it before, so I won't linger for too long. Hybrid, the conglomeration, the amalgamation of all of the Life Foundation symbiotes, all put in together, fused into one character. Hybrid was the first time I think that I'd seen that done, with symbiotes bonded together, and it was cool. It was a fun little story, a little backup to the Venom issues of the time, but he didn't stick around for long and eventually was killed by the previously aforementioned Venom or Symbiote Hunter Eddie Brock. So he's out of the comics now and the Life Foundation symbiotes have all separated, but come on. We want the memories to be kept alive, because what I'll mainly remember is the laughter. So yeah, give us Hybrid. The First Host. This was a very new character, going back to a story set in outer space involving the first host to host, I suppose, for lack of a better word, the Venom symbiote. And it was a Kree character, if I do believe correctly. You'll tell me if I'm wrong. I hope you do. I kind of joke about, oh, you guys are always correcting me, but I actually appreciate that because it fills in the gaps in my little noggin. So yes, I believe the first host of the Venom symbiote was this Kree character. And by the end of the story, again, could be misremembering this, but he ends up dying inside the symbiote Venom creature. Words are hard. But you have this great reveal where the symbiote pulls away and it just reveals the skeleton underneath. And I was like, that looks really cool. I wonder if they would do that with Legends. I mean, hey, we have Doom holding the Thanos skull, so it's not like they would shy away from doing something kind of visceral like that, so I'd be really up for seeing that happen. Now it's time for the big dog. The main man himself. No, not Venom, but Knull. The guy who people seem to either love or hate. I'm definitely in the love camp. I think Knull is just a badass looking character, which isn't particularly a unique look. He looks very much like a dark elf, really, but it's fun. With the huge big Joker grin, the white face and the real big chunky medieval looking armor. The Venom symbol is kind of become like the Superman symbol. You just see it and you know what it is. So that looks really iconic on there with his huge big black sword as well. He's a really toyetic character, which again might be a little bit difficult to put together because he's quite spindly. But if they did him as a bath, oh yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. And considering what a huge sort of corner of the Marvel Universe he inhabits now, excuse me, a little bit windy, I think it's really essential that we are able to add him to our shelves to complete the overall Marvel Universe. Now we got a character who is pretty essential to the modern Venom story, which is Dylan Brock, a character who was originally introduced as Eddie Brock's little brother, but then it turns out that no, he is actually Eddie Brock's son, and this is a big one. This is a big kind of paradigm shift for the Eddie Brock character. He's no longer a schmuck, basically, because Eddie's whole kind of career up until the last couple of years, he's sometimes been heroic, sometimes been a villain, but always been kind of an idiot, to be honest. He's been the person who's flown off the handle and gone crazy and had sort of mad ideas and stuff, whereas now they've put this son character in his life and it's focused the writing and the actual kayfabe character of Brock, where he's like, I gotta stop being a schmuck. I gotta be a dad. And that's why the current Venom run is so good. So now having Dylan represented as a legend, and because it's a kid, that's quite a small figure, but that's where I'm saying, pack him with Sleeper, the symbiotic cat, which is so cool. Such a great creation. I'm amazed that they haven't done more with it yet, because I can see Sleeper as being a Groot type character, which is just begging for merchandise, because oh my god, a cat that's kind of got like symbiotic, cool, cute, funky sort of color schemes and design styles, that would look so great. Which brings me to the next entry. The next entry is Sleeper himself. Before he was in his cat form, he actually was a huge, big, hulking symbiote, and that looked amazing, and it would totally fit perfectly on the deluxe Venom Bath body. So a Sleeper figure, I think his gimmick is that he can release like toxins and poisons and all kinds of pheromones into the atmosphere, which I think one of the things he can do is put people to sleep, hence Sleeper. So his big hulking black and green symbiote design looked really cool, but then if you also have with Dylan the little cat version of Sleeper where he bonds with a cat, I think that would be really awesome on the shelves. What's more powerful than a Hulk? A Venomized Hulk. And we saw this in Absolute Carnage and possibly before as well. I can't remember. I feel like Venom Hulk has been with us for a longer amount of time. But yes, he particularly appeared in my knowledge in Absolute Carnage, where it's the entire Marvel Universe against Carnage and his hordes. And of course, when Hulk starts to get an advantage, that's when the symbiote bonds with him, and it's a big, crazy, hulked out Venom type symbiote. It's kind of great that because the Hulk is so huge, the symbiote can't really expand itself enough to fully wrap around him. It's a cool kind of look, because then you've got the green Hulk body with the teeth and the symbiote coming over him. It's a badass looking character design and would look so great just adorning our Venom shelves. Now, kind of like Scream, there's a character that I would love to see get a do-over, and that is Superior Venom. Because we have a Superior Venom, and he's very underwhelming. He's on the small little Pizza Spider-Man body with just some claws and the little tendrils. There's not much to it. But the Venom with Doc Ock in him, Superior Venom, what I'm trying to say, has been drawn and depicted real big and hulking. And if you've got a customizer like Symbiote Seeker, you can see what can be done if you throw all of the sculpting and effort on there. You can make an amazing looking Superior Venom with huge, big, thick tendrils coming off of him that kind of simulate those Doc Ock claws or tentacles, which were kind of a giveaway as to who was really inside Peter Parker's mind at the time. But yeah, the possibility of how great you could make that character look absolutely makes me want to see Hasbro have another go at it. They won't, but hey, this is my channel, so I can dream a dream. Now, this is a really cool deep cut kind of figure. We have the Toy Biz version of Venom The Madness. So in the Venom miniseries in the mid-90s, Venom is kind of poisoned. There's some toxins and stuff that cause other symbiotes to kind of spawn off of him. It's a really freaky story. I forget the name of the artist, but I do like him because he does creepy, weird, horrific looking artwork, and this was creepy, weird, and horrific looking. But yeah, so Venom is kind of mutating with all these little symbiote heads coming off of him. And he gets super jacked up and mega powerful. He actually kind of, slaps down the Juggernaut. It's a really cool fight. But yeah, so we got a Marvel Select version of this character who looked pretty cool. I do dig that. But Toy Biz being Toy Biz, making kids making kids cry? No, making toys for kids as opposed to Marvel Legends, which, come on, let's face it, these are for grown-up collectors with money to burn through, basically. So they were making kids toys, so they took the Madness design with the little symbiote heads and they just painted him bright green and shipped him out there, and it was a fun little iconic toy from our childhoods. And then, damn you, Symbiote Seeker, you went and made him amazing. So you can see what could be done with this Toy Biz design, putting it on a modern body with huge hulking proportions, the bright green, which looks like it's just like just glowing like radiation, and all the little chattering heads. That would look amazing. while we're just playing around and being a little bit crazy, I want to show another Symbiote Seeker design because I thought this is so great. PS1 Venom. Never gonna get this in the Gamerverse, but PS1 Spider-Man is the really iconic Spider-Man game. Before the Tobey Maguire movie games came out, this was absolutely breathtaking, and to be honest, unless you're kind of my age, you're not really going to appreciate it, because if you go back and try and play it, or even look at it, you'll be like, ooh, really? This was cutting edge? It was in the late 90s or the early 2000s. I think it was the year 2000 actually, it came out. This was incredible, and unfortunately the blocky 3D graphics of that era don't really age very well, but the fact that it was a comic book Spider-Man game that incorporated all these different characters from all over the Marvel Universe. You had Captain America, Daredevil, Punisher, all just popping up throughout the adventure, and Stan Lee narrating it. It was amazing. There were contemporary comic book covers you could find as collectibles, and Venom featured in it, of course, and this is a perfect 3D representation of that character. Hey, don't worry, you can come in, it's okay. And we're back. One costume change, and several hours later, let's continue with the list. And now we've got a big one. And I know that maybe this isn't practical for Marvel Legends scale, but you could do a bath maybe? It's pie in the sky, but it's the Venom T-Rex. I mean, come on. It's Venom plus a T-Rex. Just you can't get two cooler things going together to make a bigger, cooler thing. Except now that I think about it, the whole point of a T-Rex is that it's huge, big teeth and a slobbering tongue. And then a symbiote is huge, big teeth and a slobbering tongue. So it is kind of like putting a hat on a hat. So I will grant you there is that. Because a symbiote T-Rex is just a T-Rex with some black on it, basically. It's like, oh, it has sharp teeth. Well, it's like, well, it is a T-Rex. But also, if we're talking symbiote T-Rex, how can you make it bigger, better, and more symbiote-ish? Well, that's what Symbiote Seeker went and did. Look at the fangs on this guy. You see, you can take a T-Rex and then just go one bigger, make everything more symbiotic and gnashing and gnarly and badass. Man, that looks cool. One that I have requested before on one of my previous lists is Venom 2099. This is just a badass look. I gotta get a thesaurus. I keep saying badass, but this is a list about symbiotes, so they're all kind of badass. And this one in particular, with the white mask that goes over his face, it's a clever way of taking the Venom design and thinking, well, how can we keep this so recognizably Venom, but still make it different and unique? And lo and behold, you did it. You killed it. You nailed it. Especially, I love the red eyes. The red eyes is something you don't tend to see on symbiotes, really. It is black. No, what am I saying? Black. Dumbass. It's white. It's always the big white eyes. So instead, putting the white color palette on the face and then the red for the eyes, that looks really, really cool. That looks really effective. And it would be a lot of fun to have some more 2099 representation. A funky little design that has been kind of lost to history to some extent is Poison Peter Parker. This is a what-if story in which Peter keeps the symbiote. And, okay, this is where my brain is getting frazzled. Isn't this a takeoff from the other storyline, where Peter embraces the spider or chooses not to embrace the spider after he dies? Doesn't he die and then the symbiote takes him and resurrects him and he comes back with it? Is that it? I think that's what it is. Gosh, too many stories. I've got to go back and read it. But the take home is that he ends up with the symbiote and looking really creepy. What's actually really effective about this design, I think, is that it actually keeps him looking more human than most symbiotes do. Normally it's just the smooth head and the big eyes and the tongue. There's not much to relate to there as like a human character. Whereas this one, it's more of a human-sized mouth and the smaller eyes and even sort of a glimpse of hair. It looks unsettlingly like Peter Parker, but not. And that's really cool. If we step into the way, way back machine, we have Phage, or the Symbiote Hunter, from the Venom mid-90s limited series. It was weird, in the mid-90s, they didn't give Venom an ongoing series, but it was just one mini-series after another that did follow the same chronology. So it was like an ongoing series, but just not. Either way, one of them was called Venom the Hunted, where we had this character called Phage, not to be mistaken with the other Phage from the Life Foundation. And it was just a weird, freaky, Cronenbergian sort of alien creature with hair and scales and bones jutting out. It looked so bizarre that amazingly Toy Biz actually made a figure of this, and I was tempted to go onto eBay and pick it up just because it's so weird. I couldn't find one that was in good condition though. That's kind of a shame, but they could definitely do a new version of this. I don't think anyone would want it or ask for it, but if someone ever said, who asked for this? Well, there you go. This guy did. Give us Phage the Symbiote Hunter, because it looks really cool. Now, of course, going back to the ones that I've always mentioned before, so I won't dwell on them, the remaining Life Foundation symbiotes. We still need Agony and Riot. And of course, we got an awesome looking Riot here that was made by Symbiote Seeker, which is exactly what Riot should be. He's not a very interesting design. He's just a grey symbiote. So what sets him apart is that he's big. He's beefy. He's a huge, big horse of a guy. He's a roidy Magoo, essentially. All the other symbiotes are of a normal sort of size, and then he's over here like, sup? Like, hey, you been juicing, Riot? Nah, I'm just naturally like this. Sure you are, pal. But yeah, he will look terrific when we can finally get those 5 Life Foundation symbiotes together on one shelf, all the different colors, the shapes and sizes. It's gonna look so cool. I gotta stop that. I've finished every single entry going, it's gonna look so cool, so cool. You could do a supercut of me saying, it's gonna look so cool. What else could I say? Boss. Do kids say boss? That's gonna look so boss, man. Yeah, give us Riot. That'll look boss. And finally, full-on nightmare fuel, people, we have Carnage Doc Ock, going back to the PS1 Spider-Man game again. And there's something about the really blocky 3D graphics that are a little bit disconcerting. They actually, like, there's something kind of creepy about them, I find. I think it's because I've read too much about that Ben Drowned Zelda story, and I've watched too many videos on that creepypasta, and now I'm like, ooh, yeah. Late 90s blocky 3D graphics are just creepy to me now. And creepy Doc Ock Carnage. Oh, it's the brilliant ending to the PS1 game. You find out, obviously, Doc Ock has been the master planner behind everything, and he gets infected with the Carnage symbiote, and then you can't fight him. All you can do is just run away while this building or underground lair is collapsing, and you just hear Doc Ock just screeching like, it's really effective for an old game, and captured here by Symbiote Seeker incredibly well. It's got the great sort of monstrous kind of face with the huge tentacles coming out. This is a bath that it would be kind of a shame because he wouldn't really fit with my 616, but just like Venom Pool, I'd be willing to make an exception because of how wicked he would look. And folks, that is my full list of potential Venom 2 wave figures that, let's face it, some are quite likely and other ones are totally pie in the sky, but it's fun to enjoy some pie in the sky moments. More importantly though, oh my goodness, go to Instagram and YouTube. There are links in the description below, and check out Symbiote Seeker's work because it is just absolutely insane. And a big thanks to Symbiote Seeker for giving me permission to use his material in this video. And before I go, guys, I'm restarting, not for every video, but I'm restarting my gallery, my Instagram gallery, where I display and show off some of the awesome artwork and photography that people make. And for this one, I'm actually just going to focus on one creator in particular, my good buddy Chris over at Galactic Toy Shots. So you can enjoy the data blast at the end of the show. And guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this and you want to see more, then join the 6-1 clicks by clicking the like, share and subscribe buttons. And if you really want to doubly support the channel, you can go over to patreon.com/displaying model behavior. Throw a few shekels my way. But guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, keep displaying model behavior.
Xbox Recording Studios production. Song recorded and rearranged.
Okay, one costume change and I didn't plug the. Oh, I did plug it in. It's right here.